All right. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Quantum School of Zen online Sangha. Usually once a month, we have a live Q&A. I've been doing it by myself most of the time. I think 2 times ago, we had it with Paul Park Judo Popsnim, which was great. And today we have Zen Master Soeng. Thank you, Zen Master, for joining the stream and helping us with answering questions here.
You're welcome.
First, if you haven't done already, just say hello and tell us where you're from. A lot of people looks familiar here, so welcome everyone. Let's see if there's anyone new. Oh, we got someone. Okay, Melbourne, Brisbane, Vermont, great. Singapore, Germany. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. So I'd like to introduce Zen Master Soeng. So most of you probably know, but if you don't, she is the school Zen Master, the Quantum School of Zen. She's been practicing since 1972, so when Zen Master Seung Song first came. She received transmission from Zen Master Seung Song in 1992. She worked as a registered nurse, and currently she lives in Northern California with her partner Mary and has 2 grandkids. So as most of you know, if you have a question about practice, meditation, Zen, any kind of questions, okay, you can just post it in the comments below and we'll do our best to answer. So already the questions are coming. So Javier, thank you, Javier. Good to see you again. So she can't read the chat, so I'll read some of the stuff for her. Zen Master Soeng, it's a joy to meet you virtually. I understand you personally met Zen Master Seung Song and shared with him. What do you think he would say to those of us who participated in an instance such as the online Sangha? So I guess the question is, what do you think he would say about people participating in the online Sangha?
He would love this. He was always wanting to gather action. He always wanted people to get together. He wanted people to see how much they meant to each other. And he was always saying, like, Sangha is the #1 thing. There's the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, and the Sangha is the most important because we basically learn tremendous amounts from each other. We're not going to learn as much from a tree as we are from a person, because the person rubs against their ego a little bit, and they have one, you have one, and then you get to learn a lot from that. So he'd be very happy.
Yeah, I've been hearing that from a lot of the other teachers too, that he would have been very excited about this. You know, I met him.
He'd want to do it twice a day. He'd be like,
right.
Let's go online again.
Well, it seems like he was always, again, I never knew him personally, but open to, most important is how to connect with people, right? So using anything, any kind of like means to do that.
Yeah, I call it together action, yeah.
Thank you, Javier. Christoph, our Quantum Zen Center dissolved, so I'm practicing in a Tibetan Buddhist center. Do you consider the visualization of deities, and it says with roots in animistic belief systems, as a valid finger, quote, pointing to the moon?
Do you consider it? That's the big question. Do you see the finger? Do you see the moon? And if that's good for you, that's great. You have to be able to take away deity, take away finger, take away moon, and then what? Yeah, I wish I could. It's hard for me not to see his face and not to hear his voice, because that's my immediate reaction. Is you've got to take your practice and have faith in it, feel good about what you're doing. And if it's feeding you in a way that gives you a not knowing mind, that gives you a mind that's curious and feels more open, then it's a good practice.
Yeah, I actually been getting this question quite often from people who don't have a Sangha near them. They want to be part of the Quantum Online Sangha, but near them, there are other different types of practices. So I usually recommend people, yeah, practicing with other people is very important. But also I tell people that, you know, wherever you go, there's going to be things you like about it and don't like about it. That's pretty much how it goes. So it's like, what's behind the practicing? Why are you doing it? So our, you know, to me, our school is very clear, right? We practice to perceive our true self and use it to help others. So I think that's probably important as well. Good morning, masters and students. Oh, we have Freya from Singapore. Hi, Jason and Zen Master. I would like to ask, if one holds the anger and hatred towards another person and chooses not to forgive that person's undertaking, what can we do about anger through meditation? So I guess the question is, what do we do with anger?
Well, I think of two things. One is, let's assume you're meditating, you're gazing at the floor, and you're feeling this anger. One very good technique is to ask, who's angry? Who is angry? So you ask that, and then we often will point to our heart. I'm angry. I. Well, what is this I? And that's something that if you ask, what is this I? Your anger is not there right then. In that moment, it's not there. The question, who is angry, what is angry, is actually much more important than the object that you're feeling angry about. So that's when you sink your teeth into practice, is to really get that, yes, I feel anger, but what is that? And a psychiatrist can often, I've heard this many times through the years, underneath anger is sadness. So underneath the anger is sadness. So feel that sadness. What is it that you needed from that person? Or did that person have a job that didn't get fulfilled? What is that job? What do you need? What does this world need? And that gives it a much wider thing than a direct target of anger. So yeah, you could be angry at anything, a person, a bridge, anything. But what is it? What do I need from that bridge? What do I need from that person? Why am I going there? What is it? And that is what we want to do, is get off the hook of opposite thinking, this person and me. And what is it that needs to go on right now? So I would suggest that's one technique. And that can be done not just on the cushion, but momentarily, from person to person, from object to object. So notice what you're doing, why you're there, what's the point. And very often it won't be anger, it'll be sadness, disappointment. Oh, I wish, but for what, for whom? So just really sink your teeth into your practice, and it'll go much farther than just you feeling angry. There'll be a lot of lessons in that.
Very good response. Thank you. So those of you who just attended, I know there's more people joining as we go on. This is the Quantum Zen Online Sangha. We're doing a live Q&A with Zen Master Hyang. She's the head teacher of the Quantum School of Zen, and is joining us with us today, answering questions. If you are new to the Quantum Online Sangha, please check us out online, quantumzen.org/online, to get more information. A lot of people have become members. So if you're interested if you live in a location where you don't have much support for your practice and meditation and would like more one-on-one support, consider joining the online Sangha. A lot of people have been taking advantage of it. So we'll set you up with the teacher and you guys can have a video chat via Skype or other means. So thank you again for joining. We have another question from Douglas. Hi, Bobby and Jason. If one knows oneself to be confused at any given moment and stops to correct it, is that checking?
If you noticed the confusion, that's not checking. That's the whole gift of the practice. Notice your confusion, notice the gifts around you. So it's not confusion to notice confusion, no.
Right, I think that word checking gets maybe misunderstood. a lot, right? Just like if, we say someone's hungry, you give them food. Is that checking? No, you're just perceiving something and
Yeah.
responding to that rather than checking yourself about it, right? Like,
Yeah.
I wonder if that person's hungry. Well, should I give them food or not give them food? This kind of.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
hi from Penang. I think it's Myung Ansanim, I believe. Hyang Zen Center. So again, if you have any kind of question about practice, meditation, Zen, Quantum School of Zen, any kind of question, please ask. Javier, again. So his question is, how can we free ourselves from the I, me, mine mind that so often dominates us in everyday life?
You ask, what am I doing just now? And this is like such boring teaching. I mean, everybody's like, yeah. That's it. Like I'm still practicing that, and I forget to do it sometimes. And my, me is what we were just talking about with checking. Am I doing this right? Is this going to work? Or there I go again. But what are you doing in that moment? What is it? So the hardest time for me is when I'm actually in a retreat gazing at a brown floor, and it's like, then the mind wants something different. My mind does often, and I'll just go back to the floor, back to the floor, back to the floor. Then I'll go, oh, I don't like this. Back to the floor, back to the floor. So it's what am I doing just now? And as frustrating or as senseless as that might feel sometimes, I have never left even a 5-minute sitting without feeling like a benefit from it, because I quieted that mind that keeps thinking. It goes this way, it goes that way. It's we used to call it, I'm sure, well, we can still call it this, a wild horse. So it's you've got to tame, quiet it, and it's actually a much clearer, and you're more contented in that state of the tameness, the quietness, and you're much more creative. So it's just not easy. It's not easy, and you keep thinking, well, now I've tamed the horse, and then boom, it's off again. So bring it back, bring it back. That's the practice.
Yeah, that's good. Good teaching. Thank you. I think we forget the only time we can do anything is right now. Like we can't do it 5 minutes ago, and we're not going to do it 5 minutes from now. That's just going to happen now. So I've been using this simple one. We always have this phrase like, what am I doing right now? So like, that's very important to know, but also what am I doing right now and how can I help? And to me, that sets the direction of how we're using our life. And also just paying attention to actually what we're doing. Oh, Frank, good morning. Cleveland, Ohio. Good to see you again. Zero Sum, Chong. All right, Stephen Clare. Let's see. When I ask a Kongan while sitting, how do I sit with and develop don't know?
Wow. Well, I would suggest that you just keep doing it. And that question is a checking question, actually, because how do I just, what was the question when I
ask a Kongan while sitting, how do I sit with and develop don't know?
You listen. So let's say you ask a question, does a dog have Buddha nature? Now I know some of those people out there know that answer, but don't tell anybody else. But someone who doesn't know that answer, does a dog have Buddha nature? Then rather than settling for the mind that wants an answer, starts to go, yes, no, maybe, just that's what we call primary point. I'm sure many of you have heard about primary point, but if you can just get the mind right when it's up against the wall of the koan, and I'm just going to use the dog having Buddha nature, just does it? And that mind, be with that, be with that. And Jason mentioned how may I help you afterwards, like be in the moment and have how may I help you. That's true. How may I help you comes up from that question. You will reach that place in you, your Buddha, that does want to help. So it's not a task. Oh, I'm I'm going to ask, how may I help you? And that feels like a little bit of a burden, but if you just trust that when you and listen, that consciousness that has wisdom, compassion, insight is able to float up from the bottom, come up from your center. So this primary point is tremendously important. And I think, it's because many of you don't see a teacher regularly. You've got to ask about primary point and just do it and just feel that sense of that quietness and that place that's settled and solid. And from there, the koan, not just the koan answer, but that compassion will come up too.
Yeah, and it's interesting. The end of the question says, how do I sit with it and develop? Don't know. Develop,
Yeah.
Don't know doesn't develop. It's just there. It's already there. Let's see. Jeremy, hello from Penang. Thank you. Brandon has a question. Morning. How do I keep the question, what is this, if I'm trying to keep counting my breaths?
Well, take away the word keep. So if you want to count your breath, that's fine for a little while. But it's not something you can do off the cushion. And I guess you could, but it would be kind of awkward and kind of stilted. So rather than count your breath, exhale, be with your exhalation and just be there, be with it. And you can do that also when you're up walking around, not actually saying I'm exhaling, but you are exhaling. It's automatically happening for you. So I just suggest that you, did he say keep?
Yeah, if I'm trying to keep counting.
This keep thing is a big mistake. So you don't keep anything. As Jason said earlier, it's now. It's not yesterday. It's not a second later. It's not a second in the future. It's now. So don't keep it. It's having trust and faith that you are Buddha and you can do this. And that faith mind is really, really important. That yeah, I fell off the horse, get back on the horse. I fell off the horse, get back on the horse. That's all you have to do, but you don't keep anything. You just come back. You just come back.
Yeah, and also the counting the breaths is just a meditation technique, just like using a mantra or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like Zen Master said, the holding that is not going to help. It's just a tool to help us pay attention. So sometimes we hear a car go by. That's the function of counting the breaths or using the mantra. Sometimes we'll perceive a pain in our knee. Sometimes the question, what is this, will appear. So all of it is just a truth. So we're using the technique just to perceive what's true, not holding on to the technique itself. Because then that becomes an attachment and then it no longer works. And
it's very frustrating too. Yeah, yeah, very frustrating. Yeah.
Yeah, I liked when I was starting mantra practice, it seemed very distracting in some way, and it reminded me of when I started wearing glasses. I used glasses to see for distance, but when I first put them on, it was very uncomfortable on my nose and it was kind of itching my face. But after a while, I don't even notice they're on my face anymore, right? But the point is I can see clearly with them. So I think counting the breaths and the mantras are like that too. It may seem a little awkward and we might be struggling with it, but if we just keep doing it and using it just to see clearly, then it just becomes clear by itself.
I wanted to say something too about it. I used to, when I first met Zen Master Soeng, he just taught us, only go straight, don't know. He'd say, don't know. And I go, what? I had no idea what he was talking about. I said, and I actually asked, I said, if you're going only go straight, don't know, if there's a tree in front of you, you're going to run into the tree. Like, I felt like the don't know was this spaciness. I said, how are you going to see the tree if you don't know? I really asked him that. And he had a good laugh over that. But it's like not that don't know. This is the clear mind don't know. And it's just not taking this, not taking that, but just seeing. And again, that you don't need to keep that. It's right there. So.
Okay, so we have a question from Carol. Good morning. I have not been able to memorized many of the chants. How important is this?
That's not important. You know, if we were talking in the beginning about Sangha, so the chanting is something that when you're with Sangha, when you're with other human beings, and human beings have a lot of thinking, a lot of checking. So if we're all together and we're doing chanting, it's an amazing experience just to hear and listen to each person's voice and to listen to your own voice. And that's great, but it's not important. What's important is what you think is important. What's important is what you pick up and you start chewing on, and you have some faith in it. And then good, come in and ask a teacher about it. But the chanting is something that's probably I love chanting. But it's something that's, what's important, as I said, is you finding your way, you finding your Sangha, you finding what you're going to do today. That's your chant, Yeah, so.
Great. Eduardo, hello from Spain. We know Eduardo.
We know you.
Thank you, Sansanin, for being here with us. All right. So we have a question from the username is CC Hake. Anyways, if in a heated argument and I as middle person, the one person will always come in their opinion and the refusal to listen to anything other than their own thoughts. How do I handle such situations to prevent further escalation?
Well, ultimately, it's the person who's heated that has to handle that situation. I mean, if we could, we can't really fix anything. That's not our job. I mean, if you're actually a professional mediator, then yeah, there's some responsibility in trying to keep two people who are arguing being more productive. That's your job if you're a mediator. But if you're just witnessing this, I'd let it go. I'd let it just, let those two people work it out. Because that's the thing, we keep wanting to fix this world. And we can't fix this world. We can start right here and now with our trust and faith and practice. And if we do that practice, then whatever our talent, our skill, what we're going to lean into and do with our time will appear. So don't try to fix it. You do your job.
All right.
You want to add anything to that, Jason?
Well, I mean, yeah, it's like we can't solve everybody's problem, right? So, but I think the only thing we can do is just perceive what's true and respond to that. I mean, that's all we can do. That's all we're doing in practice. That's all when we're doing on the meditation cushion, and that's what we're doing in our daily lives. So, and unfortunately, there's no formula for that, right? There's not like, I wish there was. I wish there was a formula we can write out and then hand it to everybody. You don't have to come to retreats. You don't have to practice. You don't have to do any of that. But it's not the way it is, because every situation is different. And also, people are different too. So we respond to people in different ways. Yeah. That's why I always love the story. I've told this many times on the stream, so I'm going to do the short version. But the person who spit on the Buddha. So some time ago, and usually when people would go to the Buddha for teaching, they would bow and ask a question. But this man went to the Buddha and spit in his face. So usually if someone did that to us, we do one of two things. Usually we spit back or fight, or we kind of submit and say, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. What did I do wrong? I must be a bad person. Something like this. But the Buddha just said, what's next? And that kind of like threw the man off, because he was ready to fight. He was ready for argument. He was ready for a confrontation. But the Buddha just said, what next? And then Ananda, who was standing there, who was the Buddha's cousin, got very upset. He said, you can't say what's next. We have to punish this guy or everyone's going to spit on you. And then the Buddha said that this man did not spit on me. So now both guys are confused. So the Buddha said, this guy came here with some idea about me. Maybe he thought I was a corrupter of religion or some bad person or steering people off the path. So he came here with some idea about me. So he didn't spit on me. He spit on his own idea. He spit on his own mind. So I always find that a great story because it has to do about seeing what's true. Usually when there's some confrontation, we usually get into the good guys and the bad guys, right? The person who's right and the person who's wrong. But unfortunately, that's not the case. There's only one type of person, and that's suffering, which is us and everyone else. So I think once we start seeing the truth of that, we can respond in different ways that actually will surprise us.
Yeah, and one more. That was a good question. So, how about if someone breaks into your house and they have, they have a knife and they look very threatening. They're big. They're angry, and they break into your house. This is a story that Zen Master Soeng told. He said, just ask them, what do you want? Oh, the money's over here, the jewelry's over there, here's my kitchen, and anything in the kitchen? And just again, like what do you need? What do you want? And so give it to them. And it's probably a good idea anyway, since they've got a knife in their hand. And then after you've done all that, and they feel like, wow, it kind of blows their mind, and they've got this armful of stuff. And so, okay, so is that it? And the guy goes, yeah. And so he starts walking out the door. And then this is very important. You say to him, I'm worried about you, because this kind of behavior adds up, and it's going to cause suffering in the future. So I'm really hope that you get what you need without taking it from other people, because it's just going to cause a lot of trouble for you. And so you give them some little Dharma talk. And I've never forgotten that, because I've had people break into my house, but I'm never home. But if it happens like that, I really hope I have the presence of mind. I've really been practicing with this, just relax and ask them what they need. So it takes a lot of courage to do that. Yeah.
Thank you. So again, this is a live Q&A with Zen Master Hyang. She is the head teacher of the Kwan School Zen, and she's helping us today answer some questions. Thank you everyone for your questions. We have over, I would say, almost 60 people watching right now. So it's great to see so many people, and we'll get back to the questions. So Mason asks, so he never heard of checking before, the term checking. This is his first time watching the live stream. So what does checking mean? So
there's 3 or even 4 things that we often mention together. And it's just psychologically showing the mind. So checking, we check things, we hold things, and we make things. Also, we want things. But if we check something, that means that we are saying, is that right? But it just happened. So, or I'm no good, or that person's no good. So that's checking something or someone. And holding is like keeping that in your mind. So if someone cuts you off on the road, first you check, that guy's a jerk. And then you get to work, you're still angry about somebody cutting you off. So that's holding. And making something is, this world is completely crazy. Nobody knows how to drive anymore. So it's checking, holding, and making. That's a very little thing right there. But if you really think about it, if you weren't doing that, then you'd just be walking into the office and seeing and being and doing and creating and being intuitive. But because we're stuck with this whole mishmash of checking, holding, and making, we're not complete human beings. We're using a very small part of our brain, and it's a habitual part. It's just like smoking. It's like you just can't put it down. So how do you put it down? By asking again, what am I doing just now? And if you start to be able to self-analyze a little bit, oh, I'm checking, oh, I'm holding, oh, I'm making. Don't check your checking, but just go, oh, that's checking. Then you can drop it more easily, because you see that it has no value.
Mm. So yeah, that reminds me of the story about the Buddha I just talked about, the man who spit on the Buddha. It's it's the returning back to what's true. So returning to the truth. So our practice on the cushion is returning to the truth. And sometimes it seems silly, right? We say the wall is white, the floor is brown, but that's very important, because usually we add on to the truth. So there's a saying in Zen, don't paint legs on a snake. The snake is already complete. So we say the wall is white, because usually that's not how we are. We usually say the wall is white. I don't like white. Why did they put white in this house? They should have a little brighter color to make it more warmer or something like that. So that's why we have so many problems in our life and also in human relationships, because we add on to the truth, which we call checking. So our practice is just returning to what's true.
Yeah, like if someone cuts you off, oh, that was dangerous. Oh, I'm glad he didn't hit me. Oh. Yeah. And then just feel that and be careful.
And maybe that means call the police too, if you can get his license plate number.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's see. We have a question from Czech Republic. I'm going to say this name, Pavla. So hello from Czech Republic. I have a question about, let's see, man and woman in Kwan. How can, I'm going to try to translate this. How can be more helpful in our world if we're not able to talk in Zen Center? If man doesn't respect woman, how can I help men understand this? I'm not sure what this means. So maybe...
I know what it means.
Okay.
I think I have a sense of what that means. So if you're a man, is that a man or a woman?
I don't know.
Yeah. What is it?
Well, he says, how can I help men understand this? Yeah, I'm not sure. Sure.
Well, I guess it doesn't matter, but it doesn't, someone's feeling that there's not enough respect. So again, respect what? Respect who? What is going on? And it starts right at home. You show respect. You believe in yourself. So one of the things I love about this practice is we talk about letting go of I, but then we also say, believe in yourself. What am I? Then believe in yourself. So moment to moment, mistake or no mistake, doesn't matter. Pay attention to what situation you're in, what relationship you're in. How is it just now? And if you feel grounded and able to act appropriately, act compassionately, be helpful, don't check about how other people are behaving towards women. You behave correctly towards women. And you understand that ultimately it's not man or not woman, it's power. So what is my power? What do I do? How is it? So every single issue that we have, whether it's political or in our social, personal, it's like, what's the point? What's going on? What do I need? And these questions are tremendously helpful, because if you're asking, then you're not making and you're not checking, you're not holding, you're just trying to see it and be with it. So this practice brings you right to that sense of self-trust, that there is a listener. I'm listening and I'm learning. So that's what I would do. Not worry so much about what other people are doing.
All right, thank you. And also Mason says, thank you very much about the checking. Makes perfect sense.
Oh, that's good.
Let's see, Brandon says, sometimes while sitting, I start to experience a kind of gold light with my mind. Do I try?
That's too bad.
Do I try to put that down and just come back to the floor, or just let my mind be? Thank you.
You have no choice. Just be with the floor and let things come and go. It's some people want something from their sitting. They want something special, and that could be a problem. It can even, your special thing could even appear. So, but what's the point of that golden light? Just, is it good? Is it bad? Do you like it? You want more of it? Don't touch that. Just be with whatever appears and be awake. So we often say that over and over, wake up, wake up. So if you're focused, if you're with this moment, you hear the traffic outside, you see the different textures on the floor, that's most important. Whatever comes with that, just allow and see if it has something to teach you, but don't try to hold on to it.
Yeah, that's a very good tip. It reminds me of my solo retreat. Like the first month, I did a 90-day solo retreat. The first month, during the evening sitting, just had a candle, so couldn't see much, but I could have sworn there was a demon behind me. So every night I would always look back.
Oh, wow.
Nothing was there, but it felt like that. But then, the third month, I remember it's kind of the state we want. So Zen Master talked about, sometimes we're trying to go after something. So in the third month, I had the experience where time and space disappeared. I looked at the clock when I snapped out of it and was like, oh my gosh, I was supposed to be walking 45 minutes ago, and it's like, oh, I like that. I don't like the demon, but I do like this experience. So what I tried to do was recreate it. How did I do that? Was I saying the mantra a certain speed? Was I sitting a certain way? And what I realized is eventually that started to become the demon of wanting that experience. And then ultimately I realized that they're all just experiences and they have no inherent nature. They're not permanent at all. We just like some experiences and we don't like others. And it's that pushing away and grabbing onto is what causes suffering in our lives. So all of those experiences are the same. So I would recommend what Zen Master recommended is just
make sure you're awake.
Yeah, just come back. I mean, I have some crazy stuff like during sitting, and if you don't touch it, then it won't touch you. But if you hold on to it, then it becomes a demon, and then it'll be a problem. So that's why it's always great to practice, I think, with people too, because we have the support of the Sangha, and also usually there's a teacher that we can talk to about these things. So great question. Cage Dao, if suffering is inevitable, how can paying attention to this condition can alleviate it? Doesn't being more aware brings more suffering? We all know that being aware of pain increases the intensity.
Suffering is that the question?
Yeah, is suffering,
trying to get...
yeah, if suffering is inevitable, how can paying attention to this condition alleviate it?
What is your suffering teaching you? What's your suffering saying to you? What is this? Again, it's over and over this great question. What is this? Instead of getting on the suffering and riding with it, what is it? Feel it 100%. Breathe it in. What is this? And I'll tell you, if you just own it and be with it, watch it, it's going to shift. It's going to shift because it's your teacher. So suffering is not the problem, as Jason said earlier. Wanting something is the problem. Wanting it to be different, wanting to keep it, wanting to get rid of it. That's the problem.
Yeah.
But what is it? So everything, what is it? I'm, as Jason mentioned, my grandmother. Obviously, I can't have the grandkids without being also a mother. And with my daughter, I used to just really try to just see. Children are very emotional, so normally they're just trying to work it through with their young brains. And your best job as a parent or as a caregiver of a child is just to watch what is it and be patient and allow it, embrace it, really. So my grandchildren, my daughters learn this technique of if they're upset, she embraces them. And she actually holds them unconditional. And they might try to bite her, they might try to kick her, but she just, oh, I love you, and embraces it. And they start to relax. And so that's the same thing as our brain. Don't reject, take in anything that's not already there. Just be with it and digest it and embrace it. And it's not easy. It's not easy because you're just thinking. You're thinking, I don't like this. I want it to be different. But suffering is our best teacher. So just learn from it. And when I say that, I don't mean to be negative. Is the suffering will lift just by learning from it. It's there for you. It's not an accident. So
that's great. It's a great point that Cage Dao made. Is like, doesn't being aware bring more suffering? And then that being aware of it increases, but it is.
No, stay with it. It won't keep increasing. It won't.
Well, yeah. Also, when people start to do a meditation practice, I hear this a lot, and they come back to me and say, you know what? It seems like since I started meditation, I'm thinking more than ever. And actually, say, that's not the case. You're just noticing your thinking. So that's true. But the pain increases if any kind of like difficulty increase. It has to do with, Zen Master Hyang said, is trying to get rid of things we don't like and holding on to things we do like is why pain increases. It's avoiding just the natural condition of a human being. But if you don't touch it, then you're free.
And I'll tell you, one of the things with practice is we say having a great question, also having courage, great courage. Because yes, I said it earlier, it's not easy to be with that suffering. It's not easy. But courage, just like that's your suffering. You think it's outside, but what is it? And that's not easy to do. It takes courage to not avoid, but to be with. So
Great.
it's not, I'm not saying it's not easy to do it.
Douglas, will this Q&A be saved and posted to review again later? Yes. If you're if you're a member of the Quantum Online Sangha, we have a private Facebook page for our group where I'll post the recording of this video. So anybody who's a member will have access to it. Again, if you're interested in being a member of the Quantum Online Sangha, there's a link down below. You can check it out there. Question from Seaman? Hello, greetings from Australia. Can meditation practice give answer to what will happen after our death? So you're asking a hospice nurse, so this is a good question for you.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, no, it reminds me, I just read a comic, which is hilarious, right? It has a guy going up to the teacher saying, Zen master, can you, what happens when we die? And he says, I don't know. He goes, what do you mean? You're a great Zen master. Said, yeah, but not a dead one. I always love that story.
Yeah, if you think about those things, it's not going to take you anywhere. But I will tell you that I saw a lot of people die. And I've thought about death a lot. One reason I got into hospice is because I was a little afraid about dying. And Zen Master Soeng said a wonderful thing to me one day. We were about to have a conference about death and dying with a he's just passed away not too long ago, Stephen Levine, and he worked a lot with people who were ill and dying. And so he was there, and Sansanim was talking to me before the conference started. He said, what are we talking about here? And I said, oh, about death and dying. And he said, that's not important. And I was like, hey, a lot of people are here. I have to just act like you think it's important or something. It's like people want to talk about it. And he said, you know, the most important thing is not to think that it's going to start and it's going to end. Life begins, you have a middle and you have an end. It's not like that. You can't think in a linear way. What's most important is your vow and your direction. You pick up your vow to help other people, to learn about yourself and your direction. When you feel that vow, what do your hands want to do? What do your feet want to do? What's your job? And that never dies. So if you have a very healthy vow and direction, you inhale, you exhale, you inhale, you exhale. That's all we know. So every single person I saw die exhaled. That was their last act. They finally took that last exhalation. Then what? That's your koan, you know. But if you have your vow and your direction, it's not going to die. So that's what's important to realize. What am I doing now? And hold on to that. And don't think about ending and beginning.
Right. Yeah, it kind of is like we lose, yeah, you're right. We lose our direction when we start thinking things like that. Because even in Buddhism, like, yeah, some people really believe there's reincarnation, but usually it's used as a teaching, right? Meaning everything has a natural cause and effect. We don't know exactly what happens. I mean, if we're completely sincere and honest, we really don't know. Even the Dalai Lama said, someone asked him a question about death, and he goes, well, if scientists prove reincarnation is not true, then it's not true. Like even he doesn't hold on to the idea of reincarnation. And there's actually a story of the Buddha like that. Buddha never talked about that as well. Someone came to him and asked, is reincarnation real or not? And he said, you know, does it really matter? Because let's say if it was real, what would you do? And the student said, well, I would practice real hard, get enlightenment. So, you know, next life I'll have a good life and I'll be able to help people. He said, okay, now what if reincarnation doesn't exist? What would you do? And he goes, well, I wouldn't have much time. So I'd practice really hard so I can help other people. So he's like, exactly. It doesn't matter. Let's see, Pavla, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Frank, good to see you, Frank. We know Frank. Let's just see. Having much experience. Okay. How do I let go to experience in capital letters now without flashing back to old information and experiences? Like Jason said, don't paint legs on a snake. So how do I let go and experience now without flashing back to old information and experiences.
Don't check that you're not in the now. If you have that idea, oh, I keep going back to old experiences, that's checking. Just don't get on that train. Don't get on it. If you get on it, get off of it. So it's just a matter of getting off it over and over and over again. So, make a mistake. You fall down, get up. You fall down, get up. So you could call that a mistake, going back to your old conundrums, but actually just let go of it. So we talk about that. Just open that fist. Just let go of it. Just imagine that. Just let go of it.
It's really funny. Like when we're sitting down and we hear a bird chirp, oh, that's great. I like that. Or the wind's blowing. That's nice. But then we have like some thinking appear. Then we don't like that so much. So it goes back to, again, like pushing away and holding on to, having a flashback of an experience is just the truth, right? It's not good or bad, but usually we're doing something with it, right? We're trying to fix it, or we're trying to go back to see what happened, or we're trying to see how we're not going to do that again or something. So that's what we would call checking. But if we want to experience now is perceiving that flashback. Now is perceiving the bird chirping. Now is perceiving the pain in her leg. It's just perceiving everything as it is and not pushing away and holding.
Yeah, I've done a few very long retreats, and I at one of them, I was in my cabin, and it was like March and it was raining, and one of my favorite things was to go out and walk and walk and walk, and it was just pouring. And so I had already swept the room, and this is my break, I'm on a break. So you have that mind, I'm on a break, I'm not on a break. I wasn't needing to bow or do prostrations or chant, or sit. And so I was like, this is my break. And all of a sudden, because I had been in this retreat already like 70 days, and I saw completely that mind that was like not satisfied. It wasn't enough. I was like, I want to go outside. And I just stopped all of us and I said, you're the only one here complaining. And everything else, the wall, the broom, the chickadees outside in the trees, they're not complaining, rain, not rain. But it was just to see that I had to own that. I was trying to push. I was trying to push away or pull it in. And it sounds so silly and it's so simple, but it's like I really saw it. Like, you make everything. I was making, it's good, it's bad, I like it, I don't like it. And you have to see that yourself. Each one of us has to see that and own it. Take responsibility for it. Don't blame anybody else. It's like, there it is. Don't blame the rain. It's like, there it is, that mind that wants it to be different. But it was tremendously profound to me to see that. You might hear me say that. It's like, oh yeah, but when you actually own your own, that you're running it, that little mind of yours is running the whole show. So what am I? You've got to find out what is it that does that. And then you begin to learn from everything, and you can relax.
Great. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So we're at 6:50. There's 2 more questions, and then we're going to close it up here. So next question is from Bindik. Welcome back. Good to see you. Zen Master, I'm taking my MA in philosophy currently.
Oh, dear.
I'm writing about authentic existence. Can you talk about the relationship between Zen and philosophy? Can it help save all beings?
That's up to you. That philosophy is a lot of other people's ideas. What is your idea? So what are you getting from the philosophy? For what and for whom? Are you just going to regurgitate what someone else said? Or are you going to have your philosophy that enlightens people? So I think that it can be very wonderful to learn about. Some people have had some very profound observations of this universe and this world, but for what and for whom are you reading about that? So once you get that under your belt, then that is Zen.
Wow, very good answer. Thank you so much. All right, last question. Stephen Clare, good to see you again. I'm unsure about how to softly gaze at a 45-degree angle while sitting. After some time has passed, my eyes naturally go cross-eyed and I have to correct my eyes. What should I do? All right, technical question.
That's just right. You uncross your eyes, you refocus. That's what we have to do with everything. That floor is a metaphor for what we do with our world. It starts to swim. It starts to, refocus. What is it? Why am I here? What's the point? So it's just get back on the horse again. You fall off, get back on. So your eyes are crossed because you're losing attention. So wake up.
Yeah, and also opening and closing is really not mandatory. It doesn't really matter, but we recommend opening your eyes just because it's easier, first of all, not to fall asleep, especially if you're doing early morning practice. And also sometimes when you close your eyes, you start to visualize things as well. So ultimately it doesn't matter, but it's a good tip to what Zen Master Soeng said. All right, so everyone, we got some comments. Thank you both kindly for your teaching from Brandon. Thank you. Carol says, thank you. Robert Brown, thank you. Everyone, thank you. Stephen Clare said, haha, thank you. Eduardo, thank you for your clear teaching and comments. All right, thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you very much.
So again, we usually do the live Q&A once a month. It usually happens on the first Tuesday of the month, but sometimes it doesn't happen that way. So if you stay tuned, you can go to our website. If you go to quantumzen.org/online, there's information about streams like this. But usually we have a stream every Tuesday and Thursday. So Tuesday we do a 6 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. We do a live sitting, a couple chants and a reading, and everyone around the world will join us for sitting. And then we do Thursdays at 8 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time for people in different parts of the world to join. And it's the same format. We'll do some sitting, chanting, and a couple questions. Just to let you know, I'm going to try to get more teachers to help doing this live Q&A. Also in the works, we're going to start doing live webinars. So teachers from our school around the world will be picking a topic and talking about that and then having a live Q&A. So stay tuned for that information. Again, if you want to join the online Sangha, there's links down below to that. So it's a chance to, first of all, work one-on-one with the teacher. And also you can join our private Facebook group. So a lot of people are sharing experiences and ideas and asking questions. And we put all of our events and stuff in that group. Also, we have usually the recorded Q&As I'll post in that group. So again, if you're interested in being a member of the online Sangha, the link is down below and check it out. So thank you very much. Thank you, Zen Master Soeng Hyang.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
It's great to see so many people. I think this is the biggest one yet. We had over probably 60 people today. That's a great turnout. And again, if you had a question that you wanted to ask but didn't get answered, I have an email down below. Just email me your question and we'll take care of that. So thank you everyone for joining, and we will see you next time.